as I normally do. I like to read. I like to connect with people who like the classics. And today we're going to read from Ralph Waldo Emerson's selected essays, lectures, and poems. Now, I don't, where did I put my, I left it in there. Did I? I'm gonna go get my London fog real quick. Sorry. Okay, let's see. All right, here I come. There we go. All right, I had to get this to be able to wet my whistle as I read. But I'm not very familiar with Ralph Waldo Emerson, and so I thought we could read, kind of learn together. All right. So this is from 1836, and it's called Nature. Sorry, I keep adjusting this. We'll get it right one of these days. Okay. Nature. Introduction. A subtle chain of countless rings, the next unto the farthest brings. The eye reads omens where it goes, and speaks all languages, the rose. And striving to be man, the worm mounts through all the spires of form. Our age is retrospective. So this is the United States, 1836. That's the year that the Alamo fell. So this is a long time ago. It builds the sepulchres of the fathers. It writes biographies, histories, and criticism. The foregoing generations beheld God and nature face to face, we through our eyes. Why should not we also enjoy an original relation to the universe? Why should we not have a poetry and philosophy of insight and not of tradition, and a religion by revelation to us and not of the history of theirs? Embosomed for a season in nature, whose floods of life stream around and through us and invite us, by the powers they supply, to action proportioned by nature, why should we grope among the dry bones of the past, or put the living generation into masquerade out of its faded wardrobe? The sun shines today also. There is more wool and flax in the fields. There are new lands, new men, new thoughts. Let us demand our own works and laws and worship. Undoubtedly, we have no questions to ask which are unanswerable. We must trust the perfection of the creation so far as to believe that whatever curiosity the order of things has awakened in our minds, the order of things can satisfy. Kelly, what's going on? I hope you're having a great day. And thank you. Appreciate it. So yeah, we're just reading some Ralph Waldo Emerson. And I'm not really familiar with him, so I'm kind of just reading aloud for the first time on a lot of this. All right, I know a few of his poems. I really like that poem, Concord Bridge. I think that's by him. That's a good one. But other than that, I don't have a great knowledge. So I invite you, if you're listening, if you know anything about him, tell me why you like him, or something about him that you like. And then if you have any suggestions for a certain, like, oh, this essay's great, or this lecture's good, or that poem, I love learning, because, again, I'm new at this. I'm new at Emerson. So, yeah. Hit me with any suggestions that you have. And if you like classic literature and stuff, you'd like this channel if you're new here. We do this a lot, and then I have a lot of classic literature audiobooks. It's becoming harder and harder to find audiobooks read by a real human. I saw a classic literature audio the other day here on YouTube, and I thought, oh, this looks great. And I went in, the thumbnails looked good, and I was excited, and I clicked on it, and it was an AI voice. It was like Mark Twain, something or other, AI voice. I was like, okay, well, maybe that's a whole thing was these bad AI voices, and they're just cranking out content, every day they're doing a whole book or something. And it was just like, Man, I mean, that's cool, I guess, but I don't really enjoy listening to AI narration. Maybe someday, but not right now, because I haven't found any voices that I really like. We must trust the perfection of the creation so far as to believe that whatever curiosity the order of things has awakened in our minds, the order of things can satisfy. Every man's condition is a solution in hieroglyphic to those inquiries he would put. He acts it as life before he apprehends it as truth. Uh, You're AI. Okay. In like manner, nature is already, in its forms and tendencies, describing its own design. Let us interrogate the great apparition that shines so peacefully around us. Let us inquire to what end is nature. All science has one aim, namely, to find a theory of nature. We have theories of races and of functions, but scarcely yet a remote approach to an idea of creation. We are now so far from the road of truth that religious teachers dispute and hate one another, and speculative men are esteemed unsound and frivolous. But to a sound judgment, the most abstract truth is the most practical. Whenever a true theory appears, it will be its own evidence. Its test is that it will explain all phenomena. Now many are thought not only unexplained, but inexplicable, as language, sleep, madness, dreams, beasts, sex. Philosophically considered, the universe is composed of of nature and the soul. Strictly speaking, therefore, all that is separate from us, all which philosophy distinguishes as the not me, that is both nature and art, all other men and my own body must be ranked under this name, nature. This is Ralph Waldo Emerson. Olsegun, same glasses. You have impeccable taste. Do people call you bookworm? From time to time, but I call myself a bookworm. I read a lot. Michael Moore. I do not own that book. Michael Moore Farm Boy. Yeah, I don't have that. Is that a poem? Is that a book? I'm not sure. That's good. Bookworms are cool people, in my estimation. No, I'm not reading his book. This is Ralph Waldo Emerson. Are you kidding me? In enumerating the values of nature and casting up their sum, I shall use the word in both senses, in its common and its philosophical import. In inquiries so general as our present one, the inaccuracy is not material. No confusion of thought will occur. Nature, in the most common sense, refers to essences unchanged by man. Space, the air, the river, the leaf, as in, art is applied to a mixture of his will with the same things, as in a house, a canal, a statue, a picture. But his operations taken together are so insignificant, a little chipping, baking, patching, and washing, that in an expression so grand as that of the world on the human mind, they do not vary the result. That is not the whole library. That is one little bookshelf. I've got a lot of books. A lot of books. I'm a bookworm. We've established that, right? Book of Thomas Jefferson. I forget, what's that called? I've never read it, but I know what you're talking about. And I don't own it, to my knowledge. Yeah, but Thomas Jefferson was, he had to deal with the Barbary pirates and all that. He did not have a rosy view, for sure. So this is the introduction, and then this is part one. To go into solitude, a man needs to retire as much from his chamber as from society. I am not solitary whilst I read and write, though nobody is with me. But if a man would be alone, let him look at the stars. The rays that come from those heavenly worlds will separate between him and what he touches. One might think the atmosphere was made transparent with this design to give man in the heavenly bodies the perpetual presence of the sublime. Seen in the streets of cities, how great they are. If the stars should appear one night in 1,000 years, how would men believe and adore, and preserve for many generations the remembrance of the city of God which had been shown? But every night come out these envoys of beauty and light the universe with their admonishings, and light the universe with their admonishing smile. The stars awaken a certain reverence, because though always present, they are inaccessible. But all natural objects make a kindred impression when the mind is open to their influence. Nature never wears a mean appearance, neither does the wisest man extort her secret and lose his curiosity by finding out all her perfection. Nature never became a toy to a wise spirit. The flowers, the animals, the mountains reflected the wisdom of his best hour as much as they had delighted the simplicity of his childhood. When we speak of nature in this manner, we have a distinct but most poetical sense in the mind. We mean the integrity of impression made by manifold natural objects. It is this which distinguishes the stick of timber of the woodcutter from the tree of the poet. The charming landscape which I saw this morning is indubitably made up of some 20 or 30 farms. Excuse me. Miller owns this field, Locke that, and Manning the woodland beyond. But none of them owns the landscape. There is a property in the horizon which no man has but he whose eye can integrate all the parts, that is, the poet. This is the best part of these men's farms, yet to this their warranty deeds give no title. To speak truly, few adult persons can see nature. Most persons do not see the sun. At least they have a very superficial seeing. The sun illuminates only the eye of the man, but shines into the eye and the heart of the child. The lover of nature is he whose inward and outward senses are still truly adjusted to each other, who has retained the spirit of infancy, even into the era of manhood. His intercourse with heaven and earth becomes part of his daily food. In the presence of nature, a wild delight runs through the man, in spite of real sorrows. Nature says, he's my creature, and maugre all his impertinent griefs, he shall be glad with me. Not the sun or the summer alone, but every hour and season yields its tribute of delight. For every hour and change corresponds to and authorizes a different state of the mind, from breathless noon to grimmest midnight. Nature is a setting that fits equally well a comic or a mourning piece. In good health, the air is a cordial of incredible virtue. Crossing a bare common in snow puddles at twilight under a clouded sky, without having in my thoughts any occurrence of special good fortune, I have enjoyed a perfect exhilaration. I am glad to the brink of fear. In the woods, too, a man casts off his years, as the snake his slough, and at what period soever of life is always a child. In the woods, a perpetual youth. Oh, that's good. No wonder I like walking in the woods so much. In the woods, a perpetual youth. That's good. Within these plantations of God, a decorum and sanctity reign. I want to write that down. Anytime that I am reading something and I like what it says, a lot of the time, let's see, in the woods, perpetual youth. Oh, that's good. That's very good. Let's see. Do you like walking in the woods and stalking joggers? Not the stalking jogger. I like to stalk coyotes. I like to stalk bears from time to time, mountain lions, anything that I can sort of, deer is another one. Joggers, no. Joggers I leave alone. If you don't know what bumpkin is, you might be one. All right. Within these plantations of God, a decorum and sanctity reign. A perennial festival is dressed, and the guest sees not how he should tire of them in 1,000 years. In the woods, we return to reason and faith. I like that. In the woods, we return to reason and faith. There, excuse me, there I feel that nothing can befall me in life. No disgrace, no calamity, leaving me my eyes, which nature cannot repair. Standing on the bare ground, my head bathed by the blithe air and uplifted into infinite space, all mean egotism vanishes. I become a transparent eyeball. I am nothing. I see all the currents of the universal being circulate through me. I am part or parcel of God. The name of the dearest friend sounds then foreign and accidental. To be brothers, to be acquaintances, master or servant, is then a trifle and a disturbance. I am the lover of uncontained and immortal beauty. In the wilderness, I find something more dear and connate than in streets or villages. In the tranquil landscape, and especially in the distant line of the horizon, man beholds somewhat as beautiful as his own nature. The greatest delight which the fields and woods minister is the suggestion of an occult relation between man and the vegetable. I am not alone and unacknowledged. Anything that's stalkable? Not anything, but a lot of things that are stalkable. Billy Peterman, Jesus Saves, Romans 10:9. That if thou shalt confess with thy mouth the Lord Jesus and believe in thine heart that God hath raised him from the dead, thou shalt be saved. That's a good verse. From the Paul writing, book of Romans, chapter 10, verse 9. The waving of the boughs in the storm is new to me and old. It takes me by surprise, and yet is not unknown. Its effect is like that of a higher thought or a better emotion coming over me when I deemed I was thinking justly or doing right. Yet it is certain that the power to produce this delight does not reside in nature, but in man, or in a harmony of both. It is necessary to use these pleasures with great temperance. For nature is not always tricked in holiday attire, but the same scene which yesterday breathed perfume and glittered as for the frolic of the nymphs is overspread with melancholy today. Nature always wears the colors of the spirit. To a man laboring under calamity, the heat of his own fire hath sadness in it. Then there is a kind of contempt of the landscape felt by him who has just lost by death a dear friend. The sky is less grand as it shuts down over less worth in the population. Enjoy your week, goeth God. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoy your week as well. So that was the end of part one. So that was the introduction and part one of Nature from 1836 from Ralph Waldo Emerson, selected essays, lectures, and poems. So he's got some different ones in here. Part two is called Commodity. Then there's part three is Beauty. Yeah, so I'm kind of exploring Emerson for the first time. I haven't read much, but I thought I'll get this down and read out of it today. There's one, Language, Discipline, Idealism, Spirit, prospects. Let's see. Perception of this mystery inspires the muse of George Herbert, the beautiful psalmist of the 17th century. The following lines are part of his little poem on man. So this is by George Herbert, I guess. Man is all symmetry, full of proportions, one limb to another, and all in all the world besides. Each part may call the farthest brother. For head with foot hath private amity, and both with moons and tides. Nothing hath got so far, but man hath got and kept it as his prey. His eyes dismount the highest star. He is in little all the sphere. Herbs gladly cure our flesh, because that they find their acquaintance there. For us the winds do blow, the earth doth rest, heaven move, and fountains flow. Nothing we see but means our good, as our delight, or as our treasure. The whole is either our cupboard of food or cabinet of pleasure. The stars have us to bed. Night draws the curtain, which the sun withdraws. Music and light attend our head. All things unto our flesh are kind in their descent and being, to our mind in their ascent and cause. More servants wait on man than he'll take notice of. In every path he treads down that which doth befriend him, when sickness makes him pale and wan. O mighty love, man is one world and hath another to attend him. That was from that part. That's by George Herbert. All right, so this is early essays and lectures. There's one on praying without ceasing. He was actually a pastor in New York, I think. He was like a Universalist pastor or something like that. So he has some biblical type stuff in here. There's one on ethics. He has one, a speech called The American Scholar, 1837. So this is 25 years before the American Civil War. There's a Cherokee letter to President Martin Van Buren in 1838. Interesting. This is interesting. I'm going to read this. This is called the Cherokee Letter by Ralph Waldo Emerson, and it's addressed to President Martin Van Buren, who was then President of the United States. So it says, Concord, Massachusetts, April 23rd, 1838. Sir, the seat you fill places you in a relation of credit and nearness to every citizen. By right and natural position, every citizen is your friend. Before any acts contrary to his own judgment or interest have repelled the affections of any man, each may look with trust and living anticipation to your government. Each has the highest right to call your attention to such subjects as are of a public nature and properly belong to the chief magistrate, and the good magistrate will feel a joy in meeting such confidence. In this belief, and at the instance of a few of my friends and neighbors, I crave of your patience a short hearing for their sentiments and my own, and the circumstance that my name will be utterly unknown to you will only give the fairer chance to your equitable construction of what I have to say. Sir, my communication respects the sinister rumors that fill this part of the country concerning the Cherokee people. The interest always felt in the aboriginal population, an interest naturally growing as that decays, has been heightened in regard to this tribe. Even in our distant state, so the Cherokees were very common in the Carolinas, and he's up in Massachusetts. And remember, just maybe 7 years before, Andrew Jackson had pretty much evicted him and sent him on the Trail of Tears. right? So this is a few years after that. The interest always felt in the, has been heightened in regard to this tribe. Even in our distant states, some good rumor of their worth and civility has arrived. We have learned with joy their improvement in the social arts. We have read their newspapers. We have seen some of them in our schools and colleges. In common with the great body of the American people, we have witnessed with sympathy the painful labors of these red men to redeem their own race from the doom of eternal inferiority and to borrow and domesticate in the tribe the arts and customs of the Caucasian race. And notwithstanding the unaccountable apathy with which of late years the Indians have been sometime abandoned to their enemies, it is not doubted that it is the good pleasure and the understanding of all humane persons in the Republic, of the men and the matrons sitting in the thriving independent families all over the land, that they shall be duly cared for, and they shall taste justice and love from all to whom we have delegated the office of dealing with them. The newspapers now inform us that in December 1835, a treaty contracting for the exchange of all the Cherokee territory was pretended to be made by an agent on the part of the United States, with some persons appearing on the part of the Cherokees. That the fact afterwards transpired that these deputies did by no means represent the will of the nation, and that out of 18,000 souls composing the nation, 15,668 have protested against the so-called treaty. It now appears that the government of the United States choose to hold the Cherokees to this sham treaty and are proceeding to execute the same. Almost the entire Cherokee nation stand up and say, "This is not our act. Behold us, here we are. Do not mistake that handful of deserters for us." And the American president and the cabinet, the Senate and the House of Representatives neither hear these men nor see them, and are contracting to put this active nation into carts and boats and drag them all over the mountains and rivers to a wilderness at a vast distance beyond the Mississippi. And a paper purporting to be an army order fixes a month from this day as the hour for this doleful removal. In the name of God, sir, we ask you if this be so. Do the newspapers rightly inform us? Men and women with pale and perplexed faces meet one another in the streets and churches here and ask if this be so. We have inquired if this be a gross misrepresentation from the party opposed to the government and anxious to blacken it with the people. We have looked in the newspapers of different parties and find a horrid confirmation of the tale. We are slow to believe it. We hope the Indians were misinformed and that their remonstrance was premature and will turn out to be a needless act of terror. The piety, the principle that is left in the United States, if only in its coarsest form, a regard to the speech of men, forbid us to enter it as a fact. Such a dereliction of faith and virtue, such a denial of justice, and such deafness to screams for mercy were never heard of in times of peace and in dealing of a nation with its own allies and wards since the earth was made. Sir, does this government think that the people of the United States are become savage and mad? From their minds are the sentiments of love and good nature wiped clean out? The soul of man, the justice, the nature that is in the heart's heart in all men, from Maine to Georgia, does abhor this business. In speaking thus the sentiments of my neighbors and my own, perhaps I should overstep the bounds of decorum. But it would not be a higher indecorum coldly to argue But would it not be a higher indecorum coldly to argue a matter like this? This is an interesting letter. So he's writing the president on the behalf of the Cherokee Nation that has had this sham treaty forced upon him, which happened many times in the history of our nation, unfortunately. Sanu says, sometimes I feel like life is going fast and it's like a circle, 10 years like a day. Yeah. You and me both, brother. You and me both. Time flies. All right, where is this? The soul of man, the justice, the mercy that is in the heart's heart in all men from Maine to Georgia does abhor this business. In speaking thus, the sentiments of my neighbors and my own, perhaps I overstepped the bounds of decorum. But would it not be a higher decorum coldly to argue a matter like this? We only state the fact that a crime is projected by that confounds our understanding by its magnitude, a crime that really deprives us as well as the Cherokees of a country. For how could we call the conspiracy that should crush these poor Indians our government, or the land that was cursed by their parting and dying imprecations our country anymore? You, sir, will bring down that renowned chair in which you sit into infamy if your seal is set to this instrument of perfidy. And the name of this nation, hitherto the sweet omen of religion and liberty, will stink to the world. You will not do us the injustice of connecting this remonstrance with any selection or sectional and party feeling. It is in our hearts the simplest commandment of brotherly love. We will not have this great and solemn claim upon national and human justice huddled aside under the flimsy plea of being a party act. Sir, to us the questions upon which the government and the people have been agitated during the past year, touching the prostrations of the currency and the trade, seem but motes in comparison. These hard times, it is true, have brought the discussion home to every farmhouse and poor man's house in this town. But it is the chirping of grasshoppers beside the immortal question whether justice shall be done by the race of civilized to the race of savage men, whether all the attributes of reason, of civility, of justice, and even of mercy shall be put off by the American people, and so vast an outrage upon the Cherokee nation and upon human nature shall be consummated. One circumstance lessens the reluctance which I intrude at this time on your attention. My conviction that the government ought to be admonished of a new historical fact, which the discussion of this question has enclosed, namely, that there exists in a great part of the northern people a gloomy diffidence in the moral character of the government. On the broaching of this question, a general expression of despondency, of belief that any good will accrue from a remonstrance of an act of fraud and robbery, appeared in those men to whom we naturally turn for aid and counsel. Will the American government steal? Will it lie? Will it kill? We ask triumphantly. Our counselors and old statesmen here say that 10 years ago they would have staked their life in the affirmation that the proposed Indian measures could not be executed, and that the unanimous country would put them down. And now the steps of this crime follow each other so fast at such fatally quick time that the millions of virtuous citizens whose agents the government are, have no place to interpose and must shut their eyes until the last howl and wailing of those tormented villages and tribes shall afflict the ear of the world. I will not hide from you, as an indication of the alarming distrust, that a letter addressed as mine is, and suggesting to the mind of the executive the plain obligations of man, has a burlesque character in the apprehensions of some of my friends. I, sir, will not beforehand treat you with the contumely of this distrust. I will at least state in you this fact and show you how plain and humane people whose love and honor regard the policy of the government, and what injurious inferences they draw as to the minds of their governors. A man with your experience in affairs must have seen cause to appreciate the futility of opposition to the moral sentiment. However feeble the sufferer and however great the oppressor, it is in the nature of things that the blow should recoil upon the aggressor. For God is in the sentiment, and it cannot be withstood. The potentate and the people perish before it, but with it, as its executor, they are omnipotent. Hack, what's going on? How you doing? I write thus, sir, to inform you of the state of mind these Indian tidings have awakened here, and to pray with one voice more that you, whose hands are strong with the delegated power of 15 millions of men, will avert with that might the terrible injury which threatens the Cherokee tribe. With great respect, sir, I am your fellow citizen, Ralph Waldo Emerson. So That's known as the Cherokee letter. Okay, let's see. This was an address to a senior class at Divinity College. This is a little Universal Seminary, I guess. From Essays, first series, 1841, history. This one, Self-Reliance. I think it's one of his well-known works. Famous lines in here like, whoso would be a man must be a nonconformist. Nothing is at last sacred but the integrity of your own mind. Absolve you to yourself, and you shall have the suffrage of the world. What I must do is all that concerns me, not what the people think. But do your work, and I shall know you. Do your work, and you shall reinforce yourself. These are from Self-Reliance. Let me get some poetry here. One on woman, I guess his thoughts on women. I wonder if he figured them out. I don't know. One on Thoreau. What's going on? Okay, here's a few poems. Okay, here's Conquered Hymn. This is one that I like. And this was sung at the completion of the battle monument at Concord Bridge, which, it's interesting, I think it was his grandpa actually owned the land that Concord, the battlefield was on. So this was sort of a family memorial as well. It was called Concord Bridge, 1836. By the rude bridge that arched the flood, their flag to April's breeze unfurled. Here once the embattled farmers stood and fired the shot heard round the world. So this was in the American Revolution, 1775. The foe long since in silence slept, alike the conqueror silent sleeps. In time the ruined bridge has swept down the dark stream which seaward creeps. On this green bank by this soft stream we set today a vote of stone. What memory may their deed redeem when like our sires our sons are gone? Spirit that made those heroes dare to die and leave their children free, bid time and nature gently spare the shaft we raise to them and thee. Beautiful. Boutique, what's going on? And yeah, I am not single. The Rhodora. In May, when sea winds pierced our solitudes, I found the fresh Rhodora in the woods, spreading its leafless blooms in a damp nook, to please the desert and the sluggish brook. The purple petals, fallen in the pool, made the black water in their beauty gay. Here might the redbird come his plumes to cool, and court the flower that cheapens his array. Rhodora, if the sages ask thee why this charm is wasted on the earth and sky, tell them, dear, that if eyes were made for seeing, then beauty is its own excuse for being. Why thou wert there, O rival of the rose, I never thought to ask, I never knew. But in my simple ignorance suppose the self-same power that brought me there brought you. Beautiful, the Rhodora. This is Ralph Waldo Emerson selected essays, lectures, and poems. I'll put a link when I'm done in the description. Hello from Croatia. Very cool. Well, thank you for joining in. I hope that you're having a great day. Oh, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. Trump vote for backflip. Okay. All right, this one is called Each and All. Little thinks in the field yon red-cloaked clown of thee from the hilltop looking down. The heifer that lows in the upland farm, far heard, lows, not thine ear to charm. The sexton, tolling his bell at noon, deems not that great Napoleon stops his horse and lists with delight, whilst his files sweep round yon alpine height. Nor knowest thou what argument thy life to thy neighbor's creed has lent. All are needed by each one. Nothing is fair or good alone. I thought the sparrow's note from heaven, singing at dawn on the alder bough. I brought him home in his nest at even. He sings the song, but it cheers not now. For I did not bring him home the river and sky. He sang in my ear, they sang to my eye. Hi there from Atlantis. Hope you brought your snorkel. The delicate shells lay on the shore, the bubbles of the latest wave, fresh pearls to their enamel gave, and the bellowing of the savage sea greeted their safe escape to me. I wiped away the weeds and foam, I fetched my sea-born treasures home, but the poor, unsightly, noisome things had left their beauty on the shore, with the sun and the sand and the wild uproar. The lover watched his graceful maid, as mid the virgin train she strayed, nor knew her beauty's best attire was woven still by the snow-white choir, as at last she came to his hermitage, like the bird from the woodlands to the cage. The gay enchantment was undone, a gentle wife, but fairy none. Then I said, I covet truth. Beauty is unripe, childhood's cheat. I leave it behind with the games of youth. And as I spoke, beneath my feet, the ground pine curled its pretty wreath, running over the club moss burrs. I inhaled the violet's breath. Around me stood the oaks and firs, pine cones and acorns lay on the ground. Over me soared the eternal sky, full of light and of deity. Again I saw, again I heard, the rolling river, the morning bird. Beauty through my senses stole. I yielded myself to the perfect whole. Was Each and All, Ralph Waldo Emerson. Do you read Holy Bible? Yes, I do. I actually have a playlist on this channel of all the audiobooks within the Bible that I've done. I haven't done the whole thing yet, but I'm kind of working through it. And usually on Sunday mornings, I do a Bible reading on this channel. And then the other days, I just read other classics. Ralph Waldo Emerson, for example. And like I said initially, I really have not, I've read more Ralph Waldo Emerson today on this live than I have my whole life. So it's cool, kind of explore new authors with others, friends and such. All right, this one is called Earth Song. Let's see here. Okay. Mine and yours, mine, not yours, earth and yours, stars abide, shine down in the old sea. Old are the shores, but where are old men? I who have seen such, such as I never seen, such have I never seen. The lawyer's deed ran sure in tale to them and to their heirs, who shall succeed without fail forevermore. Here is the land, shaggy with wood, with its old valley, mound, and flood. But where the heritors? Fled like the flood's foam, the lawyer and the laws, and the kingdom clean swept herefrom. They called me theirs, so who controlled me? Who so controlled me? Yet every one wished to stay and is gone. How am I theirs if they cannot hold me, but I hold them? When I heard the earth song, I was no longer brave. My avarice cooled like lust in the chill of the grave. Earth Song. This is called The Snowstorm. Announced by all the trumpets of the sky, arrives the snow, and driving o'er the fields seems nowhere to alight. The whited air hides hills and woods, the river and the heaven, and veils the farmhouse at the garden's end. The sled and traveler stopped, the courier's feet delayed, all friends shut out. The housemates sit around the radiant fireplace, enclosed in a tumultuous privacy of storm. Come see the north wind's masonry. Out of an unseen quarry evermore, furnished with tile, the fierce artificer curves his white bastions with projected roof round every windward stake or tree or door, speeding the myriad-handed, his wild work so fanciful, so savage, not cares he for number or proportion. Mockingly on coop or kennel he hangs Parian wreaths. A swan-like form invests the hidden thorn, fills up the farmer's lane from wall to wall. Maugre the armor's size, and at the gate a tapering turret overtops the work. And when his hours are numbered, and the world and all his own retiring as he were not, leaves, when the sun appears, astonished art, to mimic in slow structures, stone by stone, built in an age, the mad wind's night work, the frolic architecture of the snow. The Snowstorm. Hello from Ukraine. Very good to have you. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Hello, I am glad you're doing well. I'm glad your life is happy. All right, this one is called The Sphinx. The Sphinx by Ralph Waldo Emerson. The Sphinx is drowsy. Her wings are furled. Her ear is heavy. She broods on the world. Who will tell me my secret the ages have kept? I awaited the seer while they slumbered and slept. The fate of the man-child, the meaning of man, known fruit of the unknown, Daedalian plan, out of sleeping awaking, out of waking asleep, life, death overtaking, deep underneath deep. Erect as a sunbeam, up springeth the palm, the elephant browses, undaunted and calm, in beautiful motion the thrush plies his wings. Kind leaves of his covert, your silence he sings. The waves unashamed, indifferent sweet, ply glad with the breezes, old playfellows meet. The journeying atoms, primordial wholes, firmly drawn, firmly drive by their animate poles. See Sea, earth, air, sound, silence, plant, quadruped, bird, by one music enchanted, one deity stirred. Each the other adorning, accompany still, night veileth the morning, the vapor, the hill. The babe by its mother lies bathed in joy. Glide its hours uncounted, the sun is its toy. Shines the peace of all being without cloud in its eyes, and the sum of the world in soft miniature lies. But man crouches and blushes, absconds and conceals. He creepeth and peepeth, he palters and steals. Infirm, melancholy, jealous glancing around, an oaf, an accomplice, he poisons the ground. Out spoke the great mother, beholding his fear. At the sound of her accents, cold shuddered the sphere. Who has drugged my boy's cup? Who has mixed my boy's bread? Who with sadness and madness has turned my child's head? I heard a poet answer, aloud and cheerfully, Say on, sweet Sphinx, thy dirges are pleasant songs to me. Deep love lieth under these pictures of time. They fade in the light of their meaning sublime. The fiend that man harries is love of the best. Yawns the pit of the dragon, lit by rays from the blessed. The lethe of nature can't trance him again, whose soul sees the perfect, which his eyes seek in vain. To vision profounder, man's spirit must dive. His a-rolling orb at no goal will arrive. The heavens and that now draw him with sweetness untold, once found for new heavens, he spurneth the old. Pride ruined the angels, their shame them restores, lurks the joy that is sweetest in stings of remorse. Here I have I a lover who is noble and free? I would he were nobler than to love me. External alteration now follows, now flies, and under pain, under pleasure, pain lies. Love works at the center, heart heaving alway. Forth speed the strong pulses to the borders of day. Dull Sphinx, Jove keep thy 5 wits. Thy sight is growing blear. Rue, myrrh, and cumin for the Sphinx, her muddy eyes to clear. The old Sphinx bit her thick lip, said, Who taught thee me to name? I am thy spirit, yoke fellow, of thine eye I am eye-beam. Thou art the unanswered question. Couldst see thy proper eye, alway it asketh, and each answer is a lie. So take thy quest through nature, it through thousand natures ply. Ask on, thou clothed eternity, time is the false reply. Uprose the merry Sphinx, and crouched no more in stone. She melted into purple cloud, she silvered in the moon. She spired in a yellow flame, she flowered in blossoms red. She flowed into a foaming wave, she stood monadnock's head. I don't know how to say that. Through 1,000 voices spoke the universal dame, who telleth one of my meanings is master of all I am. The Sphinx by Ralph Waldo Emerson. Oh yeah, just saw your question, Abby. The Sphinx by Ralph Waldo Emerson. But I've been reading from this thing, so it's essays, lectures, and poems. And then there was a letter. We read the Cherokee letter. Yeah. Interesting stuff. Yeah, I want to read Self-Reliance soon. Not right now. But yeah, that seems like an interesting thing. Leonie, how's it going? You doing all right? Hope you're doing well. But this couple lines I really liked earlier. What I must do is all that concerns me, not what people think. That's a good line. It's a good way to live your life. And then what was the other one? Whoso would be a man must be a nonconformist. I think that's pretty good. Can't do everything that society demands you must do or think. I think that shows weakness, not strength. So yeah. So I don't know what I'm going to read tomorrow on my live. Good. I'm glad to hear it. I am glad to hear it, and you're most welcome. I like. It's always fun to connect with people that, appreciate reading and like classic literature and stuff like that. Yeah, yesterday I read from this one, selected poems of Langston Hughes for a little bit. That was a great time. Just some really good. I really like his poetry. Harlem Renaissance. And then we're doing one from here. How many books have I read till now? I don't know. I've never counted them up. A lot. Definitely read a lot. But there's so many, of the making of books, there is no end. People are always making books, so there's always tons of books to read. So no matter how well read you are, there's always lots of books you haven't read, so there's always books to read. There was one. Here's a poetry book. Ralph Waldo Emerson. I like the sound of pages turning. It's better than like a pad. You know what I mean? I like that sound. There's one more I wanted to read. I don't even remember. There's a bunch of them in here. 7. Nope. 350. There's a audiobook narrated by Richard Armitage, and it's called 20 Love Poems or something like that. And he reads a Ralph Waldo Emerson poem, and I forget. Yeah, Richard Armitage, the guy that plays Thorin Oakenshield in The Hobbit, and he's like the Russian agent in Captain America. He's a great actor. What are your top hobbies? I would say I like to read. I like pottery. I like like hiking and stuff, working out, just being active. I don't know. I have a lot of hobbies. What about you? Oh, here it is. Give all to love. So this is Ralph Waldo Emerson also, but it's out of a different book. Give all to love by Ralph Waldo Emerson. Give all to love. Obey thy heart. Friends, kindred, days, estate, good fame, plans, credit, and the muse, nothing refuse. 'Tis a brave master. Let it have scope. Follow it utterly. hope beyond hope. High and more high it dives into noon, with wing upspent, untold intent. But it is a god, knows its own path and the outlets of the sky. It was not for the mean, it requireth courage stout, souls above doubt, valor unbending. Such 'twill reward, they shall return more than they were, and ever ascending. Leave all for love, yet hear me yet. One word more thy heart behooved, one pulse more of firm endeavor. Keep thee today, tomorrow, forever, free as an Arab of thy beloved. Cling with life to the maid, and when the and when the but when the surprise first vague shadows of surmise flits across her bosom young of a joy apart from thee, free be she, fancy free, nor thou detain her vesture's hem, nor the palest rose she flung from her summer diadem. Though thou loved her as thyself, as a self of purer clay, though her parting dims the day, stealing grace from all alive, heartily know, when half gods go, the gods arrive. Give All to Love by Ralph Waldo Emerson. Music creating, that's really cool. That's really cool. Yeah, I think it's beautiful. Definitely check out Richard Armitage. I don't know if it's on, if anybody's pirated it and put it on YouTube or whatever. I got it off of Audible. But he has two things that I've heard of him as a voice actor is 20 love poems, classic love poems, and they're just beautiful. I love how he does it. And then David Copperfield by Charles Dickens. He's amazing. I mean, he's an incredible narrator and storyteller. So, yeah, if you like Richard Armitage, definitely check him out. So, well, I'm going to take a little break. I'll probably do another reading live later. But, yeah, if you're live or catching the replay, make sure you like this video if you've enjoyed it, and subscribe. We do this a lot. And also, there's lots of audiobooks and a lot of poetry podcasts and stuff like that here on the channel. So definitely check those out if you're into classic literature. Hope you're having a good day. Hope you have a good one till next time. We'll see you.